few weeks ago, I published my unboxing for the SIMSON VAM Pro Haptic Reactors. And it is worth watching that if you haven't seen it, because I'm going to skip a bunch of things which I covered already in that video. So I suppose think of this as like part 2 in a series on these particular haptic reactors, because I do indeed actually open one of these up as well so you can see inside, which I'm going to basically skip for this video since I already have published some information on that. So really today I'm just going to get these installed, get them set up in the software, get them running, tested, and then give you my verdict later in the video. So in brief, we have 3 of these motors, we have these brackets, we have some accessories which are included, the power supply that's also required. What you do need to bring in, of course, is your Simsonn pedals. So they work with the Plus X, the Pro X, or the Pro X Ultra pedals. Now those pedals come with a special controller box that has extra sockets to manage these haptic reactors. And of course we have the standard sockets for the pedals. There is a socket for the power supply and also USB to your PC. So that's how that works. Plug it all in and then obviously run the software, get that set up, which I'll show you in the video as well. Then do some tuning, do some testing, and there you go. So without further ado, I'm going to get these installed. So first thing I want to show you as well, guys, you do get like a printed manual, so it shows you how to install these, which is useful to know because we do have 2 different types of brackets. So you can just see there's like a S-shaped one, and these are just L-shaped. And the reason for that is this particular one is for the clutch pedal. If I bring one in, it makes sense. So we do need to offset the motor, otherwise the motor would collide with the back piece here. So we have a throttle pedal and it will go like that. Okay, let's get started. If you like my content, consider becoming a member to help support the channel. Click on the join button to find out more. I found the bracket on the throttle was a hair too wide to squeeze between the pedal arm pieces, so in order to install this I first loosened the bolts down the sides. According to the instructions, 2 bolts are used to fix the bracket into place, though as you can see both holes don't line up, so I'm just going to use 1 bolt here as I have no other option. That should be fine though, due to the tight fit of the bracket. When I retighten those other bolts, that will clasp it tightly to the inside of the frame. And finally, attach the motor to the bracket. Fixing the bracket to the brake pedal was easier than the first one and is fully attached by 2 bolts. And the clutch pedal, again straightforward, and now you can see why the motor needs to be set to the side. Despite having to deal with more cables hanging off the pedals, with just a little bit of effort they can be tidied up quite nicely by hiding the excess cable underneath the pedals. Stick-on cable clips are included, which also helps manage these wires. I have the pedals mounted to my DIY pedal deck. I have a separate video on this, there's a link below. The first thing you'll do after installing the VAM Pro pedal motors is head over to the Simsonn Manager software, go to the Feedback Setting tab, make sure VAM Pro is selected for each pedal and click Vibration to test they are working. And for me, the motor installed on the clutch pedal is not working, or more precisely, it's barely working. There is a slight vibration, but this clearly isn't functioning as it should. I'm going to try the clutch pedal motor in one of the other sockets. So we can establish here the motor is functioning, however the third motor channel on my pedal controller box is at fault. And finally, to remove any doubts, let's plug the brake pedal motor into the faulty clutch pedal motor socket. And yes, the result is exactly the same. Finding this problem with my Simsonn pedal controller does not mean you will find the same issue with yours. In my original Simsonn Plus X pedal review, I do point out a couple of quality control, attention to detail defects with my pedal set. In fact, it's hinted in the video title, so we can chalk this new discovery onto the board too. Simsonn customer support is known to be helpful and do fix customer issues in a timely manner, so that is at least some comfort. The pedals and these haptic motors were sent to me to review, so I'm going to continue with this review regardless. In the Simsonn Manager software, you can assign effects to each pedal motor, and it's possible to apply multiple effects to the same pedal as you see fit. Each effect can be individually tuned with its own set of simple sliders. Tuning effects is something you'll need to do on track, alt-tabbing from your game to the Simsonn Manager software to make tweaks. Although I just showed you the Simsonn Manager software, instead of using Simsonn Manager for operating the VAM Pro motors in your games, use SimHub. That's my recommendation. SimHub opens up options for additional effects and also more precise tuning features. Plus SimHub simply supports more games. So for all of my testing, SimHub was used throughout. In SimHub, go to the Devices menu. That's where you'll find where to add the VAM Pro motors, and then from there you can select and tune your effects. You will discover that the default settings, the motors are extremely noisy and overpowering. Simply lowering the volume slider to 30 to 35% will still provide good tactile and be much less distracting than imitating a jackhammer when set to 100%. Also consider tweaking individual effects further, both for their power output and frequency. There's a tendency for effects running at high frequencies to produce an unpleasant buzzing sound. So you will have a bit of a job in hand tweaking everything from the start. Some of those effects will be a little bit rough in their default state. Once you've gone through all of that, what you end up with is something that's comparable to the likes of the SimMagic or SimNet haptic motors. Tactile effects passing through the pedals that, as far as I can tell, are low latency. The vibrations kick in without any delays, and the texture of the effects distinctly feeling different from one another as long as they are tuned properly and assigned to the pedals sensibly. For instance, apply the ABS effect to the brake only as it's related to braking. ABS traction control, wheel slip and brake lockup, all providing a layer of useful feedback that relates to your tyre grip and how well you're handling the car. We discovered earlier that the clutch pedal motor is not active due to the dead socket on my controller box. Annoying that it is to have a fault, I'm not actually fussed about having a motor on the clutch pedal. I honestly don't find it useful, or would I spend my own money to have that third motor for the clutch pedal in any case. It's a view I've expressed before when reviewing pedal motors, and that still rings true in my opinion today. And I would suggest save some money and only get the motors for the throttle and brake pedal. The Simsonn VAM Pro haptic motors come across as robust, both in construction and the raw power output, and they complement my Plus X pedals very well. They do produce noise as they bash around, and if a silent build is important to you, then these won't be suitable for you. I should also point out the position of the motors on the throttle and brake pedal are not ideally placed for linear motors. They output their energy by moving a weight along the length of the capsule. So one end should be pointing into the back of the pedal for an efficient delivery of the forces, essentially orientated in the same way the clutch pedal motor is fashioned. Since the motors are very powerful, this doesn't prevent them from being able to perform, but I'm quite certain it does force us to run the motors at a higher strength to transmit the vibrations into the pedals effectively, thus producing more noise than necessary. And I would say these are louder than both the SimMagic and SimNet haptic motors, simply because of this design choice. That aside, the raw performance of the SIMSON VAM Pro haptics are impressive, and they are certainly extremely capable and add a good tactile feature to the pedals. So as long as you can put up with the noise aspect of owning these, I think you'll be pleased with the results.